Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers should exercise caution when watching this program, as it may contain images of deceased persons.
Over the past decade, more than 140 Aboriginal people across the country have died in police custody, with Western Australia recording more deaths than any other state or territory.
It's a shocking statistic, but one organisation more than any other is leading the fight to stop it happening: the First Nations Deaths in Custody Watch Committee.
John Pat Day is an event organised by the WA Deaths in Custody Watch Committee. It's the 35th anniversary of the death of John Pat, who was just 16 when he died in police custody. In 1991, a Royal Commissioner said his death was a nationwide symbol of injustice and oppression for Aboriginal people.
And I've seen a lot of my people die in custody. You know, I've spoken at funerals. I said, where is the duty of care? I said, they're meant to take care of us, but they don't.
Uncle Ben Taylor is an Aboriginal activist and lifetime member of the committee. He says he has too many personal stories related to deaths in custody to count.
I keep battling on and telling my story, and I've been protesting for the last 30, 40 years. All my old protesters, my old friends, Noongars, Aboriginal people, they're all gone to rest, fighting the battle that I'm still fighting now, the injustice, and it'll keep going on and on. I've carried coffins up to Parliament House because of the deaths in custody and the dying of my people.
More than 400 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have died in custody since the end of the Royal Commission in 1991. In the wake of the Royal Commission, Western Australia was the first state to establish an Aboriginal Deaths in Custody Watch Committee.
We believe we can get where we're looking at, which is to stop deaths in custody in WA and to stop the overrepresentation of Aboriginal people in WA prisons.
Paul Kaplan is the campaign chair of the committee. The recent Deaths Inside investigation by The Guardian Australia showed WA to have the nation's highest number of deaths in custody. Mr Kaplan says that's why the committee must battle on.
And it is at times very difficult to get to the ear of the government, and that's where, to be honest, people power comes in. And if you can mobilise enough people into a campaign, you can get things done.
Mr Kaplan was drawn into the committee 10 years ago following the horrific death in a prison van of Aboriginal man Mr Ward, which ignited fierce campaigning. He says the committee lobbied and protested hard after Mr Ward's death, which later led to substantial reform.
There were changes to the Bail Act. The company that Mr Ward was in care of, G4S, their contract was cancelled. That's what was achieved by campaigning because of the anger that the whole community felt.
A more recent case that ignited a similar drive for change by the committee was the death of Yamatji woman Miss Jew in 2014, which attracted national coverage.
Miss Jew passed away, who was killed in the South Hedland lockup by police and the medical staff. They were both part of her death.
The committee says in 2018 there have already been 6 deaths in custody on record. Those deaths drive the committee to keep fighting for changes. Mr Kaplan is convinced those reforms are possible.
Short-term changes can be done almost immediately. We believe we can get a custody notification service up. The government, in fact, has promised us by the end of the year that they'll do that. Not going to jail for unpaid fines, as Miss Jew did and died because of that. Proper medical facilities in lockups in WA prisons, whereby so many Aboriginal people are dying because of ill health and lack of treatment in there.
Uncle Ben says keeping his people out of jail is the best step, and the best way to do that is through community healing.
We need healing spaces for these young people. In prison we need more communities. Don't build jails, build communities where they can go out and work and get our group therapy from us elders.
There are more long-term issues that will take time. That question of racism in our society and how we deal with that. The intergenerational trauma that many Aboriginal families have to endure, and the poverty and the homelessness are more long-term. But there are definitely immediate changes that take place that will save lives, that will stop most, I would say, deaths in custody.
The Deaths Inside investigations show, despite the horrific number of deaths in custody since the Royal Commission, there has been a decrease. The committee says by pushing for coronial inquests, being a thorn in the side of politicians and continuing their fight for justice, Aboriginal deaths in custody will hopefully stop.
But I'll always be there for the people, old as I am, and you can kill the soul and you can kill everything. You cannot kill the spirit.
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!